Every wild animal carries one question running constantly in the background. Is this human a threat? The answer, across millions of years of evolution, has almost always been the same. Yes, but some animals carry a second question, one that has no survival explanation, one that researchers have documented and cannot fully explain. Does this human have time left? Not hours, not days. Something more precise than that. Something the animal appears to know before the human does. Before the doctors do. Before the tests confirm anything. This is not folklore. It has been published in peer-reviewed journals, documented in controlled conditions, observed across species that share nothing except proximity to dying humans. Start with what the body releases when it begins to shut down. Cells do not fail quietly. As organs begin losing function, they release specific compounds into the bloodstream. Ketones accumulate. Certain proteins break down into byproducts that exit through the skin and breath. The chemistry of a dying body is different from a healthy one, not slightly different, measurably, consistently, repeatedly different. We cannot detect this. Our olfactory system was not built for it. Theirs was. A dog processes smell through a cortex 40 times larger than ours relative to brain size. A cat detects compounds at concentrations 14 times below our threshold. What reaches us as nothing reaches them as a signal. Specific. Clear. The same every time. Oscar was a cat in a nursing home in Providence, Rhode Island. Staff noticed that when Oscar chose a patient's room and settled beside them, that patient died within 4 hours. Not sometimes, every time. 25 consecutive times. The staff stopped waiting for monitors to alarm. They called families when Oscar sat down. Dr. David Dosa published this in the New England Journal of Medicine. His conclusion was careful. Oscar detects something. What that something is, the data has not fully settled. The smell theory explains Oscar. It does not explain what happened in Kenya in 2016. A herd of elephants changed a migration route they had followed for decades. They changed it 3 days before a field researcher in their territory collapsed from cardiac arrest. They did not avoid his camp. They moved toward it. They stayed within half a mile for 72 hours. They left the morning after he was airlifted out. Elephants communicate through infrasound, frequencies 20 times below what humans can hear. The human heart, under extreme physiological stress, produces low-frequency vibrations that travel through ground and air. Whether elephants detect cardiac distress through infrasound is something research teams are currently testing. The mechanism is not confirmed. The behavior in Kenya was documented. The timing has no other explanation anyone has proposed. Dogs present the clearest pattern because they live closest to us. Veterinary behaviorists have recorded dogs that stopped eating days before an owner's death that the medical team did not anticipate. The dog's behavior changed before the diagnosis changed, before anyone in the house knew what was coming. The dog positioned itself beside that person and did not move. In controlled trials at the Pine Street Foundation in California, dogs identified lung cancer patients from breath samples with accuracy above 90%. The equipment built to do the same thing performed worse. The dogs were reading something in that breath that our instruments were not calibrated to find. We are only beginning to understand what they detect when they look at us. Crows present a different problem. Crows remember individual human faces for years and pass that information to their offspring. Ornithologists have documented corvids returning to specific locations in patterns that correlate with human death events at those locations. Whether they are detecting biological signals or responding to behavioral changes in a household, the sounds a home makes under that kind of weight, the way movement changes, is still being studied. The correlation exists. The mechanism is not clear. The honest answer is that we do not know exactly what animals detect when a human is near death. What the research shows is that multiple species across entirely different sensory systems display behavioral changes that precede human death in documented, repeatable patterns. The smell hypothesis explains some of it. Infrasound detection may explain more. Neither explains all of it. What the data cannot reach is what is happening inside those animals in those moments. What Oscar was processing when he chose a room. What the elephants were responding to when they turned from a path they had walked for decades. What a dog is doing when it stops eating and lies down beside someone who does not yet know what is coming. Every wild animal carries a threat assessment running constantly in the background. The output is almost always the same. Get away from the human. But in certain moments, in documented cases across species and continents, something in that system does something it was not built to do. It stops running from the human, it moves closer, and it stays. What it knows in those moments, and whether knowing is even the right word for it, is a question the research holds open. The animals do not answer it, they simply stay.